and we share 4 hidden factors that can be there in any home. There is dirty electricity, electromagnetic radiation, geopathic stresses and other negative grids, and indoor VOCs. In today's world, we are surrounded by so many devices. It really makes life very convenient, no doubt about that. Having all the smartphones, the smart TVs, even the smart lights and doorbells. But what each of these devices is doing is putting out electromagnetic signals into our environment. And we are electromagnetic beings, and it begins to affect us at some level. We'll have about 23 smart devices. And if you like tech, and if you're really tech crazy, and if your home could have easily 150 smart devices. Our generation is experiencing about 1 quintillion times more of these harmful radiations than our parents' generation did. Like 1 quintillion is unimaginable. The human body in general is able to cope and adapt, but the numbers that we are seeing are just so great. What is this whole thing about radiation? Now, wouldn't you think that the government would have some standards in place, or these companies wouldn't be allowed to sell devices that actually harm you? Well, there's some kind of discrepancy about the kind of radiation. If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, we have a whole range of frequencies. And on the right of the scale are things like X-rays and CT scans and mammograms and MRIs. Those kind of radiations we are aware. We know X-rays are harmful. We wear these protective things on us when we go for an X-ray. That is called ionizing radiation. And ionizing radiation means when you are in its presence, it immediately breaks up your DNA. Now, then you have the visible spectrum in the middle, and on towards the left, you have all the other lower frequencies, from infrared to microwaves, from the radio and the power current that we have. Those are called non-ionizing radiations. Non-ionizing meaning that if you are in their presence, they don't directly break up your DNA, or so it is believed. But as we have been engulfed more and more in these kind of waves, research is showing that non-ionizing radiation, like the ones from cell phones, microwaves, infrared, if we are in their presence long enough, our body is able to absorb only so much. Once it reaches its limit, these non-ionizing radiations also begin to break our DNA. There's actually a 2-step process that happens in this way. So the manufacturers and the companies are able to get away saying that these don't directly harm you. These non-ionizing radiations, they first cause damage. And they create something called reactive oxygen species in us, which in turn damages our DNA. So we'll talk about 2 of these things, dirty electricity and electromagnetic radiations. Dirty electricity is actually a subset of the radiations in which we are surrounded right now, but it is handled a little differently. So I will address this separately and first, because it's also a really easy way to handle and fix this. Now, very quickly, dirty electricity is something, let me explain it this way. When we have AC power coming to our electrical wiring, it comes as a sine wave like this, and it's supposed to be clean sine wave. But as and when we are getting more and more digital devices or electronic devices, they work on DC power. That means they have to be converted into this smooth sine wave. And when that happens, because it's from DC to AC power conversion, it becomes very choppy and it creates transients on this sine wave. And when you have these transients on there, that starts to radiate from the wires and the walls into your home. Some of the things that we have in our homes that we commonly use create a lot of dirty electricity on the wiring. Some of them are like light dimmer switches. Like they said, fluorescent light bulbs, printers, scanners, computers, laptops, your phone chargers, blenders, hair dryers, and almost anything and everything that we are using in our home is creating dirty electricity. Now, one of the biggest offenders currently is solar panels. Now, there's a big push by the government to install solar panels for clean energy. While it is clean energy, but if you have solar panels on your roof, the way it converts into AC power is again going to generate a huge amount of dirty electricity. And it's a really good idea to check these dirty electricity levels. I'm not saying don't do solar power. It's important to understand what it is doing and use it in a safe way. First, is there enough proof? So there's so many peer-reviewed papers and research available on dirty electricity. I'm just going to highlight a few of them here because most people don't know anything about dirty electricity. And this is one research paper in the National Institute of Health in the Library of Medicine. It says that it's titled Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity, Biological Effects of Dirty Electricity, with the emphasis on diabetes and MS. Hand sets of filters have been installed in schools with sick building syndrome, and both staff and students reported improved health and more energy. The number of students needing inhalers for asthma was reduced in one school, and student behavior associated with ADD and ADHD symptoms improved in another school. Blood sugar levels for some diabetics responded to the amount of dirty electricity in their environment. Type 1 diabetics require less insulin. Type 2 diabetics have lower blood sugar levels in an electromagnetically clean environment. Individuals diagnosed with multiple sclerosis have better balance and fewer tremors. Those requiring a cane walked unassisted within a few days to weeks after GS filters were installed in their home. Several disorders, including asthma, ADD, ADHD, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and are increasing at an alarming rate. Now, there are some other studies that indicate things like diabetes and blood pressure are all triggered or started by dirty electricity. Here's another research paper, again, in the Library of Medicine. And this one talks about how it leads to cancer and ADHD symptoms here. So it shows it has been a dirty electricity has been associated with cancer, diabetes, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in humans. Epidemiological evidence also links dirty electricity to the most of the diseases of civilization, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and suicide. And as you go on in that, it says that we believe that dirty electricity is a chronic stressor of the electrified populations and is responsible for many of the disease patterns. Now, this dirty electricity is so prevalent and is the cause of so many conditions. But here is the last one about the schools. Now, usually you find a lot more children and people who work in normal corporate settings, which have got fluorescent lighting being affected a lot more, because the dirty electricity levels in those public places is really very high. So they did lots of studies in different schools. So here is one research paper again from the National Library of Medicine, which talks about how they use dirty electricity in schools. And actually in this school, they had detected teachers had come down with cancer and certain other health conditions, which was attributed to the dirty electricity in the schools. And all of them showed an improvement. So here is what this paper says. Dirty electricity in schools may be adversely affecting the well-being of teachers, behavior of their students, especially younger students in middle and elementary schools. Power line filters improve power quality and also may protect those who are sensitive to this energy. So what were the results of the study? Headaches, teacher health improved, as is student behavior. Headaches, general weakness, dry eyes, mouth, facial flushing, asthma, skin irritations, overall mood, including depression, and anxiety improved significantly among staff. Behavior of high school students did not improve, but elementary and middle school students were more active in class, more responsive, more focused, had fewer health complaints, and had a better overall learning experience. And people say that I don't have too many electronics in my house, and I don't think I have this problem. The way this works is if you are connected to the city, if your neighbor has the devices, it's the same connection, you're going to get it too. But the dirty electricity is not just only dependent on your home. If your neighbor on the left or the right is on the same circuit, has got electronics on that, it's going to come into your home too. You could choose to use biogeometry and fix it that way and not use the filters at all. That will also work. Okay, it's always good to have some kind of visual confirmation with the energy imaging. So here I have on the left is the room where we saw 721. And I want you to see out of the outlet, you see this harmful dark pink color coming. So in the imaging that I have been sharing before, when you see light pink, when you see the lighter, brighter colors, those are supporting energies. And when you see the darker pinks, like this one, that is actually harmful energy. So out of this outlet, even though there's orange and green, the shades are darker and you see that dark pink energy coming out. Now, I plugged filters in 2 different outlets in this room, not on the same one, because if I plug a filter in here, you will see the magnetic field of the filter, and I wanted to see the energy of the room. So I plugged 2 filters in this room, and the levels came down to 28 maybe, and it was oscillating 28 and 31. As long as it's below 50, it is safe and there's no radiation. And I want you to notice immediately that the red harmful energies disappear, and you see the beautiful green and orange and the light blue. The colors immediately become brighter. So you immediately know that there is no more radiation happening from this outlet. I also like to change the lighting and go in deeper and see. And this is the zoomed in view. Again, you can see that the radiation is coming out from the outlet. And once I put the filters in and I zoom in, you get to see light pink energy coming out from the outlets. And that is also because I have done biogeometry in this room. Wherever you do some biogeometry fixes, you will find the light pink, yellow, and gold. Just saying that the energy of the room definitely shifts once you plug the filters in the room. I did the same imaging using a different light. When you change the light, you can get sometimes more information, like you can see here. So again, on the left, you have orange and green and a little distorted energy. But once I plug the filters in, you get to see beautiful gold energy. The gold is basically the energy that is coming in this room from the other biogeometry things that I have in here, which was being kind of being muted a little bit by the dirty electricity. But once the filters were plugged in, you get to see that, oh, there is this beautiful gold energy that is present in this room. Okay, a quick reminder, ideally you want to have the reading to be 25 or less. Around 25 is good, 50 is acceptable. Anything more than 50, that means there's radiation happening from the wires in your home, and it's affecting the endocrine system, the nervous system, your immune system. And it's really good to plug some filters in. And while we're at that point, it's always a good idea to keep your bed away about a foot or two from the wall, to be away from the wiring. Even if you put the filters, just to be away from the wiring that is in the walls. Do I need to change these filters? No, these filters last a lifetime. They're actually just a capacitor, and all they're doing is they're just sorting out the transients on the line, so they don't need to be replaced. They last a lifetime. And as a precaution, you don't want to be within 1 foot, either sitting or spending more time within 1 foot of this filter, unless it is corrected using biogeometry, in which case then it won't matter. But if you're not correcting with biogeometry, you want to keep your distance from these filters too. It's a good idea to check every single outlet in the room. And pretty soon you'll figure out that, oh, these two are affected by this filter and these two are this. So usually in most there are 2 different circuits, and you're able to put, get it down within a safe limit around 50 with 2 to 3 filters, maximum 4. Pretty much every condition will be benefited by this. So we came into this in 2014 because I was so sick. I had been doing good nutrition, doing good health, done everything right, but I couldn't figure out why I was sick. It turns out it was a combination of dirty electricity, electromagnetic radiations, and geopathic stresses in that one house, which is what got me on this path of testing and checking all of these. So the first thing you want to fix is dirty electricity. It is simply the easiest to fix. Now we're going to go to the next part, which is electromagnetic radiations. We are all surrounded by cell phones and all these smart devices, and we think subconsciously we think it must be safe, or people wouldn't have allowed it to come on the market. To some level, they are measuring their devices and they are giving some numbers, but what is actually happening and how is it affecting our blood? I'm just going to share a short video by one of the doctors who did a blood analysis and just talks about what these radiations do to our body.
Blood analysis and electrosmog. We can learn much by looking at our blood under a microscope. This short video shows a macrophage, which is like a vacuum cleaner, engulfing bacteria among red blood cells. I decided to find out what my blood looked like. I pricked my finger, placed a drop of blood on a slide, and looked at it under the microscope. This is what I saw. The cells are round, some are separate, and a few are sticking together. Overall, fairly healthy-looking blood. This testing was done in a clean electromagnetic environment, and I did not eat or drink before or during testing. I then worked on a computer for 70 minutes and looked at my blood again. This time, the cells are sticking together like stacked coins. This is called rouleau formation. Later that day, I used a cordless phone for 10 minutes and looked at my blood again. And this is what I saw. very unhealthy looking blood. There are virtually no single cells. Most of the cells are now in rouleau formation. A doctor told me this is what she sees with cancer patients. What I learned is that my blood goes into rouleau formation when I use a computer or a mobile phone. This type of clumping interferes with the release of oxygen and the removal of waste products like carbon dioxide.
The capillaries are so narrow that red cells must squeeze through in single file, showing the importance of their elasticity.
What are the consequences of rouleau formation? Poor circulation resulting in lower oxygen transport to cells and reduced waste removal. What are the symptoms someone may experience? Headaches and fatigue, difficulty concentrating, numbness, tingling, and cold extremities, and possibly heart and blood pressure problems, including risk of stroke.
Okay, how many of us have our cell phones stuck on us throughout the day? Has anybody ever done readings and seen what the readings that are coming out of a cell phone are? We don't think twice. Our little kids have got their phones now. You know, a fifth grader, sixth grader in school has continuously got a phone on them all the time. Here she shared about rouleau formation. And a couple of sessions ago, we spoke about plants, and I had shared how plant music helps to clear rouleau formation. And in a session, an earlier session too, where we spoke about water, and we had spoken about how charging and structuring your water also opens rouleau formation. So all these days, I've been giving ideas and tricks and ways to make the body healthy, so that for this final session, you could see why all those things were important up to this point. So let's talk about electromagnetic radiation. So there is enough and more research out there. Again, I'm sharing papers from the National Library of Medicine in the United States that show that these kind of radiations from cell phones and any smart devices, to your Apple Watch, your smart home system, your Google and Alexa, Google Home, all of those things, as you pile them on in your home, the kind of effects it is having on our body. So this one is talking about the EMFs in our surrounding environment, and it says they have very deleterious effects on the body, particularly on the nervous system. Electromagnetic fields have various chemical effects, including causing deterioration in large molecules in cells and imbalance in the ionic equilibrium. This kind of radiation damages the cellular components, such as proteins, lipids, and DNA. And it has been reported that exposure to EMF results in oxidative stress in many tissues of the body. And earlier I had shared that the non-ionizing radiation as a second step causes oxidative stress, which is what damages our DNA. Any home you look at, there will always be one or two people who are struggling with autoimmune conditions, diabetes, blood pressure, migraines, vertigo is coming up so much, thyroid conditions. The underlying cause, and they are doing everything. They're doing their best at nutrition. They're working really hard on exercising and eating right and doing the supplements. But the one thing that is the underlying cause of these conditions is something they didn't even probably think to look at. It's these ambient radiations that are adding up around us. So people say that, oh, I'm very careful. I turn my phone off and I leave it out of the room. Well, that might be so, but the environment from the neighbors and anybody else is just so strong. There's no escaping it. It's good to be aware and see what you can do to protect yourself. Here is another research study. So electric car makers have gone on record to state that the electric cars don't harm you. They only do something called ELF, which is extremely low frequencies, and they don't cause damage to the human health. Here is a research paper from the Library of Medicine talking about exactly that. It says that health endpoints reported to be associated with ELF and or RF include childhood leukemia, brain tumors, genotoxic effects, neurological effects, and neurodegenerative diseases, immune system dysregulation, allergic and inflammatory responses, breast cancer, miscarriages, and some cardiovascular effects. People are buying more and more electric cars, believing that ELF does not harm the people. This is not bliss. It is really very damaging in this situation. One last paper, again talking about these ELFs, so extremely low frequencies which are caused by these devices close to us. If you know anything about nutrition or you're working in health, you're probably familiar with the term of the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is this protective mechanism that the human system has to prevent any harmful substances from reaching the brain. But when we are surrounded by this kind of frequencies, here is what this paper talks about. The mammalian brain is protected by the blood-brain barrier, which prevents harmful substances from reaching the brain tissue. There is evidence that exposure to electromagnetic fields at non-thermal levels disrupts this barrier. More and more people are having this barrier broken, and they are getting electromagnetically hypersensitive, and they don't even know this is what is causing their symptoms, and they're not able to function as a normal human being on a day-to-day basis. There is a whole range of conditions that are created by these frequencies in every part of the body. And this is a chart that was released by the US Naval Medical Research. And this was in 1972, even before most of us got our cell phones. It was already documented by that time. I'm not going to go through this list, but every organ, every part of the body is affected to some level with this. How many people now have digestive issues, IBS, chronic colitis? All of this is from holding their phones, perhaps at the abdominal level like this, or having a laptop or a tablet on their abdominal area. Take a look around you and see how many devices are around you. Cell phones are the most prevalent. Probably people have got smart doorbells. They've got smart weather monitoring systems in their homes. They've got smart security cameras, smart baby monitors. They've got Google Home, Alexa, AirPods, you name it, it's there in some people's homes. While technologically it's really fancy, it's very attractive and extremely convenient. But what it is doing to your body, if you're using it unprotected, is something that is completely not reversible. Especially things like the smart watches that you wear on your body, or if you have AirPods right in your brain. If you're using them without protection, it is doing so much more damage to you that you have no idea about it. And talking about electric cars, Dr. Kareem says that when an electric car is being plugged in and it is charging, it creates a detrimental field for 12 feet radius around it. So even if you're not in the car, if you're standing next to a car that is being charged, you're getting bombarded by these harmful radiations. Now, here is a thermographic scan. This is a thermographic scan of a person who's just used a cell phone. And notice the white patches and the red area. So the white patches is a degeneration that is caused in the cellular level by the use of a cell phone, And notice it's on the right side, which is where he was holding the cell phone. So immediately you see cellular damage when you're using these devices on your body. The red areas is the inflammation. Notice the left side doesn't have as much of it as the right side does. So you can use so many devices. You can use aura imaging like I do. There's thermographic scans. There are so many other ways that you can test and see that it is harming. Here are some brain scans. So if a person is holding a cell phone up to their ear for a few minutes, the amount of brain damage it does. So the image is shown over here at the top. The areas that are yellow and red is the area of damage. And an adult brain, because they are mature, it doesn't go in too much, but it still damages a portion of the brain. If a 10-year-old is holding the same cell phone, notice the brain damage or the effect is way more than 50% of the brain. And if a 5-year-old is holding this device up to their head, just look at the amount of damage that it is causing to them. Now, if you are giving a device to a child, which you need to be aware of what this is doing to them, and you need to put proper protection on these devices before you get them even close to the child. There are baby monitors now, which have got the latest high-tech stuff with videos, and they create so much damaging radiation. Parents unknowingly are putting that in the crib of a newborn, just so that they can see it from their own room. Well, on the safety fronts, I'm sure it's helpful to get a camera and all of that, but what are you doing to that little child who's just born with all of the radiations that are going in? It is really sad. And pregnant women, it's so easy, when you have that body shape to keep a device there. It's like a national table. But by doing that, you are creating such a damaging environment for that child. So many children are born on the autism spectrum. This is one part of it. There's ADHD symptoms, hyperactivity disorders in children, neurological symptoms, psychological symptoms. They're all coming when a pregnant mother has unknowingly been surrounded by these devices. The number of miscarriages also is so much. It is simply because of the way they are surrounded by these devices. What can you do that will actually help you with it? I came upon biogeometry some years ago, and it took me a while to get on board to understand how this is working, because it seemed kind of crazy. How is a little piece of plastic or just a number affecting anything? Well, I had the opportunity to go ahead and learn with Dr. Gilbert and do the trainings, and then it made so much sense. You're like, wow, this is incredible. So for the person, I can understand where you're coming from. It may not make that much sense, but I'm going to share a little bit about biogeometry and show you how to use those tools. So I know quickly about biogeometry tools. So biogeometry is this beautiful science that Dr. Karim has come up with. It's been, I think, more than 50 years at this point. So it's a science that uses things from nature, and it uses things to bring back a balance between the biological system and the environment. And he does this using things of design like color, motion, sound, number, so basic qualities like that. So one of the definitions that is given for biogeometry in one of the research papers is that it combines Pythagorean harmonics, history of architecture, ancient Egyptian temple science, and uses principles from German and French physical radiesthesia. So the science uses all of these tools. What I want to share with you is it proven that can biogeometry really help with all of these fields that we are facing? So here is a short clip from an interview where Dr. Karim is talking about this town in Hemburg in Switzerland. So what happened in Switzerland, I believe this might have been in 2013, if I'm right, I'm not sure when, but a couple of years ago, in this little town of Hemburg, a telecommunications company installed a tower on top of the church. After the tower was installed, the residents of that little town began to experience so many health conditions, unexplained, and they were just blow it up. But the communication company didn't want that. So they called Dr. Karim in to see if he can solve that problem. So here is a little interview where he's talking about that and how he used biogeometry to solve the electrosmog in that town.
Previously, on Part 1, we learned how biogeometry forms our environment's subtle energy to harmonize and to heal the body. All body types, all states of health, can benefit from these harmonious environments informed by biogeometry technology. Now we're going to take what we've learned about the fundamentals of biogeometry and see how it is applied in extreme cases of chronic disease caused by EMF radiation. Hemburg was a peaceful rural Swiss town until a telecommunications company installed an antenna in a nearby church tower. This wreaked havoc upon the community. Plants, animals, and people developed mysterious health problems. That's when Dr. Karim came to the rescue. This phenomenon is known as electrosmog. Can you tell us in your own words what happened in Hemburg, Switzerland with this tower?
Well, this was the first public large project that I did. In Switzerland, they had this huge problem where the residents of Hemburg wanted to dynamite the mobile towers. So the government asked me to go and help. Now, their idea was you should change the effect without touching the cause. You see, now logic says that if something is harming you, you take away the cause. And I told them this is the logic, and they said, "Why do you think we bring you?" We bring you because you're
going to take away the
cause. Yeah, because you can do it. So they asked me, "How will you do it?" I said, "Don't ask me, because it's not logical. So let me do it. If I succeed, ask me later. If I don't, tell me to go back to Egypt, you know." And so I went there. When I went to Hemburg, I was really touched by the people there. There was a lady who was shouting and crying, and because she had 3 children, 8, 10, and 12, and each one of the children had 5 epileptic fits a day. So she had to deal with 15 fits, so she was shouting at the government, take off those towers or I'll go myself and dynamite them and things like that. The cows were not fertile, and so many symptoms there were happening. And so I told them, we will find a solution here. And I said, well, if you know where the problems are, then you have your own solution. They said, no, we know how to find them, but we can't solve the problem. I said, okay, I'll solve them for you. I started putting shapes together and all that, and all of a sudden, the whole community was there, fascinated with my work, helping me. Everyone was taking me into his home, showing me every problem in his home, and we corrected them. And a sort of euphoria happened. Everybody, everything changed there. So we installed our shapes. Within a day or two, they came back very happy in the morning saying, Ibrahim, fantastic, the bats are back. I don't know what was so fantastic in that, but they said, no, the bats means that ecology, that energy is okay.
Yes.
The wild animals came back, migrating birds came back. 60% of health symptoms, according to a survey done by the Parliament doctors, were reduced. And so the mayor that we saw in the film, he was speaking, he told the people, look, I'm not a doctor, I'm very happy that you're all healthy and all that. I want to look at it from a different point of view. And he said, I thank you, Dr. Karim, because you brought peace into my community and the church back into our hearts. Now, how did this happen? When they went in the survey, they would ask somebody, okay, what are your problems, so and so and so. And then the person would say, I have no taste for life. Or, I can't stand my wife. Or, or something like that, whatever.
Yeah.
I have no will to work. And the people writing the questions, they said, everybody's saying the same thing, but we don't want to handle such things. I said, no, write it and we'll see.
Like not handle psychological
Yeah,
emotions.
psychological. Let's say to the practical medical things. When we went there a week later, then everybody said the same thing. No, now I'm very happy with my life. The taste of life is back.
My wife got nicer.
Yeah. No, one of them said, he was holding his wife like that, and he's saying, now we're back like the old days. We don't have a problem anymore. We were nearing divorce. And she is a very funny lady. She looked at him and said, you see, it was the electricity and not me.
It's never me all along.
And things like that. And imagine that the children with epilepsy, in one day, when we install the things, not one single epileptic seizure, not only in those children, but in the whole region happened. Epilepsy was eradicated completely in the whole region.
Eradicated.
Completely.
Because of energy.
But when they went out, it came because there was a town nearby that had electronic games and things like that. So when those children went there, they got their fits there. So what I did was I gave them things to wear, like a ring or a medallion or a bracelet or something to wear, and they were happy to wear those things. And when they went there, then they were okay. And there was a little episode of this 8-year-old child who had 5 fits a day. I went to his house with his mother, and I was wearing a ring, a Biogeometry designed ring, and he looked at my hand and said, I'm okay, my head is free now, and then I want this. He wanted to take my ring. And she told him, it's our guest, please. So I said,
don't take his jewelry.
No. So I said, okay, is your head okay? He said, yes. So I covered it. Is it okay? No, my head is, I have tension again. Is it okay? Yes. Is it again? So I told him, okay. The next day, I brought a small bracelet for him, and he wore it, and his head was cleared. That's how we made bracelets for all the epileptic children there, so that they can go out and they wouldn't have a problem. But Hemburg changed the whole outlook of everybody in Switzerland. So the director of Swisscom, they asked him on TV, do you now acknowledge that there is something called electrohypersensibility? That was years before the WHO acknowledged it. And he said, yes, we now acknowledge it. And he said, so you know it exists? He said, yes, we know it exists, and that's why we brought you the solution. Once they had the solution, then they acknowledged. And
started with Hemburg some time back. And after that, what they have done is they have developed these little home kits that people can bring home and begin to make parts of their environment a little bit safer and better. There are a lot of research papers done on biogeometry as well. So here is one of the papers by Dr. Jerry Ginn, where he talks about biogeometry. So he says, Dr. Karim discovered that higher harmonics of 3 energy qualities that he called BG3 were beneficial to health of humans, animals, and plants. He discovered ways to create these energies and studied the beneficial effects of the energies on diseases such as hepatitis C, on reversing EMF sensitivity, growing plants without pesticides, raising chickens without the use of antibiotics, and lowering leukocytes in cow's milk. This energy of BG3 and the energy of gold, which is a universal centering energy. So basically what these biogeometry little tools things do, they are kind of new technology in terms of biological technology, where they are creating this higher harmonic of gold, which has these 3 energy qualities which are healing to all forms of life. Another paper about biogeometry. It says that we are continuously increasing the amount of carrier waves needed for wireless technology of modern communication in the Earth's atmosphere every day. These electromagnetic waves are thousands of times stronger than the level used in the communication of our body cells. The problem is these are of a detrimental quality. Even people who avoid using high technology are not immune. No one is immune because these are carrier waves with penetrating properties. Our immune systems are continuously trying to correct the distortion in the transfer of inner information of our body. Very soon, the threshold will be reached when a total collapse of our body defenses will take place. Balancing the activities of daily life, achieving harmony with our inner and outer environments, humanizing modern technology, integrating science and spirit, and discovering the unified scientific reality behind all religions is the work of some science such as biogeometry, biodesign, and radiesthesia. So basically, this paper says that the science of biogeometry is balancing the living energy quality in all the systems, whether it is EMFs or the human body or the environment. Typically, you would have a biogeometry practitioner who can come and look at your home, but the Biogeometry Home Kit is something that anybody can buy and know some very basic things and begin to make their environment a little bit more safer. The way biogeometry works is this home kit comes with a few things together. So it has the energy balancing cube, it has the clearing tray, it has something called the E strips and EP strips, some water attachments, and L90 stickers. These are basically little pieces of plastic, but the power comes in them from their shape, from the angles that are on there, and then from the little number qualities that are in there. I'm going to just use a kit, and I'm going to show you how to take an average home and where you would apply these things in your home, just to get a basic level of that healing gold energy come into your environment. Now, in the United States, there are several suppliers. If you are joining in from outside the United States, I will share where you can find a supplier in your country or close to where you are, where you can get this kit. Of course, it is always good to have validation. So this is one of the images of before and after that I shared in one of the previous sessions. So here is a room that is a normal room that had a lot of things going on in there. There are electromagnetic radiations, there's other kinds of energies. And I had mentioned before that there is something called a Benker grid line. A Benker grid line is one of the lines that is part of an earth grid. And it's usually about 3 to 5 feet wide. So in this room, where you have these yellow markers, was a Benker grid line. And Benker grid lines, if you are sitting and working or sleeping on them, are extremely damaging to health. So using biogeometry, I had used one of these little shapes, biogeometry shapes, and placed it on the floor, and I had corrected the Benker line. Of course, I could check with biogeometry tools, but I wanted to see, can I capture a difference in the imaging or in the energy blueprint of the room? And there's nothing else done in this room. It's just that one biogeometry tool has been put on the banker line. And you can clearly see that that area where that little biogeometry tool was placed, that and the biogeometry fix is not even in this room. It's in the room that is behind this. But the line goes through this whole house, and it shows that that line is connected through the whole house. So here you can see the beautiful lighter and more vibrant colors where you get the purple energies, which shows that this area is now a healing zone. Now, I went ahead and I added some more biogeometry things in that room. So basically, I have used a biogeometry cube, and it is just placed on this little side table on a piece of white paper. And I used a little biogeometry tool on the window. Just by doing that, you can see how much the energetic blueprint of this room has changed between this and this. The whole room has lighter, brighter, and more life-supporting energy. And by adding the cube and the second tool, you can actually see this BG3 energy, or the gold energy that has shown up in the room. This is the healing energy. Now, it is always good to get some more proof. There is this Dracaena plant, which I've had for a few years. Dracaena plants don't usually flower indoors. And once I did this, within a few weeks, it was so beautiful for me to see that this Dracaena plant before, and after a few weeks of putting the biogeometry things in that room, I want you to see how beautifully indoors this Dracaena plant has flowered. These flowers stayed for well over 2 weeks, bright and healthy and fresh. They were so fragrant. Our whole house, had the amazing fragrant smell. So just by using these biogeometry implements in the house, I didn't use too many, just 3 things. We were able to bring this energy of gold, or this life-giving energy in the room. And it was, of course, we could feel it, but it is good to have confirmation that even the plants and any other living stuff in that room is benefiting from that. So let's begin working with the home kit. Now, when you get a home kit, you get a little plastic strip which has got EP labeled on it. Now, this has got the number 16. It's got 16 notches on one side and 19 notches on the other side. And in a previous session, I've shared that both the number 16 and the number 19 both generate the energy of gold. So if you get the biogeometry kit, you want to take this EP strip and place it on your electrical panel. So you could place it right in the center there. Now, this is the picture of my house. I have actually put 3 strips on that. I have put an EP strip up here, an EP strip in here, and a normal E strip also. You don't have to do all 3. I went ahead and did it because I could see the difference in imaging. But from the home kit, you would just use the EP strip on the electrical panel. What this does is, how biogeometry works is it doesn't shift the measurements that you would take with a regular meter. But what it does is it superimposes whatever radiation is going out with this life-giving energy of gold. So if I did this, actually the dirty electricity coming in from the electrical circuits would not be as damaging as it would have without this. Of course, if I go and use a sterilizer meter, I will not see a change or a difference because it's not changing the dirty electricity itself, but it is superimposing the dirty electricity that is hitting you with this energy of gold. So what I personally like to do is I like to put the filters in and stop that energy anyways. And on top of that, use the EP strip. So if you are, tied for cash and you can't get the filters and this, just get the home kit and at least do this first level of, some amount of gold energy coming in through the dirty electricity that is also hitting you. Get 2 strips that have got the letter W on them. This stands for water because it's got 16 on one side and 11 on the other side. And the number quality of 11 actually brings this life-giving energy or harmonizes the energy fields of water. So there are 2 strips. You would take, and they actually have these little notches in there, and you can use a little twist tie in them. That's kind of helpful when you want to attach it to something. So you would find the main water supply of your home, and you would use the twist ties and attach it on that. That way, whatever water is coming into your home will get superimposed with healing energy. Now, we did a whole session on water where we looked at how water carries different images, and that has memory and it is dead. So this is one way that brings life back to the entire water supply in your whole house. The second water attachment, it's a good idea to use it on your water filter if you have it on your sink, or you could use it if you have a pitcher where you used to drink water, you could use it on that. You can just place it against that and it will charge the water. I do have aura images showing you that just this little plastic strip with the W, how it works. So I've shared water images and aura images of water on multiple occasions using different things to charge water. Here is yet another one. So here I just had this is filtered water, and filtered water, because it's not living, is actually harmful. And so if you see, this is the energy of the room, and water always shifts the energy of the room outside it for several feet. So the energy of the room was green and orange and blue. And when I placed filtered water there, you can immediately see that the energy of the room shrunk, and this area of dark green, which is not supportive healthy energy, increased. So just drinking regular filtered water, and this is a Berkey filter, it has no fluoride and it has all the good things it's supposed to have, but this water is not life supporting. So you notice that the energy fields of the room shrink. So if you drink this water, it'll actually reduce some amount of the life force. I took the same water in another glass and I took this W strip, this little tiny strip which has a W on it, and I placed it against the glass, or you can even keep the glass on it for about 1 minute. It was not even 1 minute. And I went and did the imaging for the water. In that 1 minute, you can see that this water, that little strip of biogeometry, has brought life back to this water, and it is emitting the energies of orange and green. Green is the energy of life force, and orange is the energy of this vitality and this beautiful health. Just by 1 minute on this water, on this W strip. So think about it. If you put this on your main water supply, the entire water that is coming in, that you're bathing with or using for your dishes or for washing your fruits or for in cooking, is going to have this healing energy superimposed on it. Now note, it doesn't remove impurities. So if there is fluoride or chloride or other chemicals, the biogeometry tools are not removing any of that. They are just superimposing healing energy on whatever is already there. That is what helps and supports your body. So it is still a good idea to please filter your water and not just drink tap water. So please filter your water, take all your precautions, and then superimpose biogeometry energies on that. So this is a good one with water. Let's look at some of the other things that you can use in the kit and harmonize larger areas of your home. It comes with 3 E attachments. Really good way to start with the E attachment. The E attachment is, it has 9 on one side and 16 on one side, because 9 works really well with the energies of electricity. So if you can actually use this in many of these other devices that do electromagnetic radiation too. The first one to start with is the smart meter. If you go outside your house and you find this meter where it kind of makes readings for your electric power, if it has a digital readout, which it most probably does, it is a smart meter. And this is doing strong amounts of radiation into your house, and more so towards your neighbors actually. So it's a good idea to use 1 E strip. You can use double-sided tape and a little L sticker on that. I will talk about the L in just a minute. But when you do these two, again, it's not changing any reading. So if you take an electrosmog meter and go and read it, you're not going to see any change. But if you go use the biogeometry tools and see it, you will find that the superimposed healing energy on that is healing you and not letting the electromagnetic radiations harm you. If you feel more comfortable and you want to make the meter readings go down too, you can place the smart meter RF guard or the Faraday cage over this, so that you also get the readings down and you mentally and psychologically feel safe. Okay, I'm not getting bombarded by the radiations. So for many years, I had the RF meter on, the Faraday cage on it. I still have it, but I have now added biogeometry tools on the inside of it, so that even if something is leaking, it is going to have healing energies come on that. That is one place to use the E-strip. A second E-strip, find your main Wi-Fi router in the house, and you want to use these tools on the point where the radiation is happening. So you want to kind of look up the schematic of the router and see where is the Wi-Fi chip, or where the Wi-Fi is coming from, and put this on that. For most of the routers that I have checked, it's typically on the upper side here. So you would put an E-strip on that, and again, an L sticker on that. A third place to use this is if you have one main TV system, which has got all these things hooked up to it, like a gaming system and maybe Amazon Fire TV or whatever else digital devices you have. And if you have this power strip over there, you can take all of these wires together. So of the TV and all the devices that are plugged in together, use a zip tie and put an E-strip on the whole bunch of it together. So what that will do is it will balance all the devices that are on that one strip together with one E-strip. And again, you want to use a little L sticker. So again, biogeometry is not changing the physical numbers, but it is superimposing the radiation with healing vibration. So basically, the radiation is a carrier wave. You can, naturally it has harmful stuff because it's a carrier wave anyway. What this is doing is it is putting healing energy and it is sending it out as a pulse. Now comes the cube. Now this cube is a very beautiful piece of technology. And like I showed in the image before, just by placing the cube, the energy of gold in that room went up so drastically. So this works so beautifully to create an overlay of this energy of gold, which is a universal healing energy. So you would place this typically in a room where most people spend a lot of time. You want it to be on a surface which is light, or if you don't have a light surface, you can use a white sheet of paper and place it on it. You want to place it so that where it comes with the writing of it says Dr. Kareem, copyright. So that writing should be on the base. If you place it any other way, it's not going to work. So you want to pay attention and place it that way. And it's a good idea once a day to place it on the biogeometry clearing tray to clear any impregnations that happen on it. This cube is extremely useful to carry with you if you're traveling in a hotel or if you're traveling in an airplane. Airplane has such strong radiations. It's so beautiful to keep the cube on the tray in front of you when you're traveling in an airplane, because it gives you a beautiful layer of that healing energy. So I just want to show you. So in this room, right over here is a sheet of white paper and the cube is placed in there. And you can immediately see visually that it is sending out this beautiful healing gold energy. Not just that, you also see the bands of orange and green and pink, which are much lighter, showing that it's restoring the balance of the life-giving energies that support us. And in the sessions we've done before, I've always shown you how the energy in the room shifts into the human body. And it's exactly matched at some point. So all of these healing energies are going to go into our body. Now come the Biogeometry L90s. Now this is something that is so simple, but the power comes from the angle and the proportions in it. Just this little simple piece of plastic is able to create and protect you from detrimental energies on all levels. So detrimental energies could be EMF radiations, it could be emotional disturbances in our own self, and it could also be psychic energy that can come from anybody else. You could also get a pendant and have it on you like I have on me all the time, like I have it over here, or you could use with these stickers. So in one of the sessions before, it's easy for me to demonstrate how powerful this L is using a mirror, because a mirror, and especially in imaging, is faster and easier for me to show you how powerful this L is. So here is an imaging that I did to see how a mirror affects a human being. So here is a picture of me, an image of me, and you can see this is my auric field, and I have active energy on my third eye center. I stood in front of a regular mirror for 5 minutes, and it was immediately apparent because a mirror is not just reflecting the visible spectrum, it's reflecting the entire spectrum. So if I have blocks on my auric field, it's going to get magnified and kind of come back to me and shrink my auric field. So you can immediately see that this field around me has shrunk some, but more importantly, that the active intuitive energy that was operational in me just got turned off. So mirrors have different effects on different people depending on how heavy your auric field is. Just by using this simple shape, because this shape is projecting that healing energy on whatever is the carrier, I placed two biogeometry on that mirror, the same mirror, and I stood in front of it for 5 minutes. I want you to notice the difference between the field of what I was right before. Immediately, my auric field expands. Not just expands, it expands to better than what it was to begin with. So this L, little shape of L, is sending balancing energy back. And it also brought back this active energy on my third eye center. And you can see clearly. And not just my face, I can show you the effects of that. It's just a little L plastic sticker, okay? But it's so powerful that when you put it on anything that is radiating, it sends this healing energy. So here is my back profile. So the first column is me without the mirror. The middle column is just plain mirror, and the last column is with me with the mirror with this little L sticker on it. So without the mirror, this is my field. As you can see, it's got pink and yellow and gold, which is quite a good range of colors. Standing in front of the mirror, my field shrinks. But if I go back in front of the mirror with the L back on, it brings my field back to what it was. On my right profile, as you can see, my right profile was nice and big. There was a lot of gold energy on my right profile, which the mirror shrunk. But if I put the L sticker, it starts to bring it back. It didn't bring it back fully, like how big it was, but it does start to bring it back. And if I probably stayed there longer, it will come back to my full whatever it was. On my left-hand side, my auric field was fully shrunk, so I didn't really have a field. So this is really what the room was. So the mirror didn't change too much. But when I stand in front of the mirror with the L sticker, it balanced my originally imbalanced field and brings back the gold energy in there. So I just want to show you that these biogeometry shapes, they might seem insignificant and they might think that they're not doing anything. But when you do aura imaging, and of course, when you use biogeometry tools, you can see the biological differences that happen on the human body. Okay, so now most of the things in the kit are used up, but we have a lot of devices left in our house. How do we handle the devices that are closest to our body? The first thing you want to put on all the devices is this L. I'm only going to talk about the 90-degree L. There are different angles, but I will keep it simple. And if you use the 90-degree L, you want to use it on your cell phone. And I like to use it on two places. One, where I plug it in for the wire to come in and charge it. And the second, where the Wi-Fi antenna is. So there's a couple of ways to find out where the Wi-Fi antenna is. If you have a regular meter, you can move the meter around, and at one point it will beep the most. Or you can look up the schematic online of your model and you can find where it is. Typically, it's on the upper side here, like on my phone, it's right here on the top. So you would put one or two L stickers. Now, the radiation given by a cell phone is pretty strong. Just putting an L sticker is not usually enough. Biogeometry also has something called like a cell phone harmonizer. It's a little piece of aluminum and it has these squiggly things on it. When you use it, this is an additional thing you want to add to your phone, and you want to have these on the case outside, not on the inside, because these need to have open space for them to work. But this is one way to harmonize a cell phone. Now, all the devices that you have, like you have a laptop, if you have a tablet, if you have a Google Home or an Alexa or anything else, you want to use at least one L sticker on it. I mean, if you are able to work with a biogeometry practitioner, they can test and give you more advanced solution. But if you can't, a layman can at least work with L's and provide a basic level of safety to their biological systems. Like, okay, now a lot of people ask me about AirPods. AirPods are tricky. Advanced biogeometry people can usually do advanced stuff and work with the AirPods directly. But if you can't, adding an L sticker on the case at least does something. Another thing is wireless headsets. Again, you want to put at one L on at least each earpiece. That is at least better than nothing. You can actually get an L and add it on any smart device on your home. If you have a smart doorbell, if you have the smart Google stuff or a smart, temperature control in your house or any smart device, at the very basic level, please at least put a little biogeometry L on it as the basic level of safety. Now I want to talk about the little cell phone sticker from Biogeometry and what those little squiggly things are. So there is something called Biogeometry Signature. A biosignature or a biogeometry signature is a linear diagram which actually balances the energy of the body organs and their functions. So just like we have meridian systems in our body, which have these energetic pathways, every organ has a certain energetic flow. And Dr. Karim, over many years of testing and experimenting, discovered that each of these organs have got energetic flow patterns, and he diligently noted them, and they are called the biogeometry signatures. So every organ can have many signatures depending on the functions they do. what it was found that is that if you take these shapes and put it somewhere in your energetic field flows through them, and then these shapes activate your energetic organs in the body. So is there proof for this? Does it even work? So there was again a study done in Egypt. It was called the Hepatitis C project, where hepatitis is very prevalent in the Egyptian country. The government was doing a study where they wanted to compare different modalities and what would help the hepatitis C the most. So they actually compared traditional medicines, alternative therapies, and biogeometry. So Dr. Karim was called. What he did was he looked at the biosignatures for the liver and also for the heart. Basically, that's what he tested might help. And he created a little aluminum pendant similar to the cell phone chip. And he engraved these biosignatures for those organs, and it was given to that group of 300 people. So this group of 300 people was only given these biosignatures to wear for 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, they compared to see which system had the best healing effectiveness. So it was basically traditional medicine, alternative treatments, and biogeometry. And here is what they found. So they compared available medical drugs as well as alternative treatments available on the market. The biogeometrical coated aluminum pendants with the biosignatures engraved on them by laser were given to 300 patients. Biogeometry achieved a 90% result compared to the other remedies, which only achieved results in 20 to 30% range. In the case of medical drugs, some achieved around 50%. Now that is simply incredible. Simply by reintroducing these biological flow shapes in our energetic body, they are able to balance our body systems. So basically, when you come back to this little cell phone harmonizer, there are 4 biosignatures on there. These are the flow patterns for these specific things. So there is one which is called this little squiggle on the absolute left. It balances the right heart in our body. The one in the center, the second one, this balances the ear function, because you're usually holding the ear, your phone next to your ear. You're disturbing the energetic flows in that area. So this squiggle balances the ear function. There's a third one over here. So there's a biosignature for the actually the lung alveoli, which are the air sacs in the bronchial tube. So this balances the energetic flow in that. And on the very right is a biosignature that balances and works with headaches and migraines, and in general, the detrimental effects of all electrosmog. And the shape itself is actually a 90-degree L. So this is one 90-degree L on this side, and this is a second 90-degree L on this side. So this little piece is actually balancing many energetic systems in your body. So you could use this, you could use the smart dot. The smart dot will give you EMF protection, but it will not balance and harmonize your energetic body with any of these additional. Okay, now I'm going to share one very simple little biogeometry tool that you can make at home yourself. I know not everybody is able to purchase these things. So biogeometry, again, works by creating this energy of gold. We've spoken about the universal vibration spectrum a few times, and the energy of the center is the energy of gold. And the certain numbers also have this quality. So the number 16 and the 19. And there's a certain specific numbers that create this energy of gold, and with a slightly higher harmonic. You have 16, 19, 28, 34. What we did was, in the past, I've shown you how to work with 16. And here is where we use 16 selenite wands. Just by using the number 16 and me standing in it for 1 minute, you could see that it infused my body with the healing energy of gold. As we're coming to the close, we've done Wellness Wednesdays, and I've shared many different things with regards to energy that work. We've done plants, we looked at plant music, we looked at crystals, we looked at so many different things. All of those are good. But, if we think of ourselves as a bucket, when we put in these kind of things, it's filling our bucket. But if the bucket has got multiple holes, no matter how much of these things you add into your life, you're not going to get as much benefit. So the dirty electricity, the EMFs, and these earth grids in our environment is like creating multiple holes in our body. So you're going to have to work that much harder on the exercise and the nutrition and all the other therapies you do. Personally, from having struggled with so many health conditions over the years, looking back, I should have first fixed this background energy first and then done everything else. So it's like this can on the left. but the barrel is completely damaged. So if you don't fix the environment, all the other things you're going to be doing for your healing and your health is going to take that much more effort. An average home